We are here after one of the most ridiculous games you will ever see. So, Stevie, if you had to describe Sunday night's win in one word, what is it?
One word, survival. The Bills survived, and they showed through the good, the bad, and the ugly that they're never out of this game. I love it, Mike. I loved it.
I
Everything
love
about
that.
last night.
One word for me, Josh. Hit it, Sammy.
Turn up your volume.
Yes.
Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Bill's Banter with Stevie Johnson and Michael F. Florio.
Fitzpatrick fires. Oh, caught! Steve Johnson! Touchdown, Buffalo! Why so serious?
The sickest Buffalo Bills podcast.
Allen will run it himself. He pumps. Got some daylight. Hurdles to the end zone.
It's gonna be sick.
Mike, let's jump right into this one.
Can't waste
That
any
was
time.
a thriller. I mean, something that we ain't seen in 60 plus years or maybe ever. Am I correct? Like they said that this was something the Buffalo Bills pulled off in the fourth quarter, being down by 15 points. With how much time was left? 12 minutes?
Less than 4 minutes, they were down 15.
Less than four. Amazing. It was unbelievable. Mike, how did you feel when you was watching it?
The teams in all time with that situation were 277-0 going into last night. So, yeah, we saw
That's wicked.
history. It was one of those games where Bills come up 7-0, and I'm like, I texted you last night. I was like, I'm feeling oddly confident. We'll see if it lasts. Then Lamar and Henry get going, and for 3 3/4, they did whatever they wanted to in this game.
Yeah, I was still kind of happy though, Mike, about the effort that was still being put out. You know, the numbers wasn't there because the offense was kind of stalling out each time. But when the Baltimore Ravens was making their runs and their pushes, it was like the effort. The guys were still coming downhill. They were still flying around. You know, they had to break tackles to make those plays, and that was good to see. You know, as opposed to the year before when Henry was making those big runs, it was nobody. He wasn't getting touched by anybody, you know. So I think that paid dividends towards the end, and it hit Lamar Jackson's fatigue and Derrick Henry's fatigue, as you see with that turnover.
Yeah, they did a good job of look, I won't say they did a great job of slowing down the run because that's something I think even the players would admit they need to work on this week, but they did a good job of gang tackling. And I felt like whenever Henry or Lamar ran, unless they reached the end zone, which happened a decent amount, it was like 2-3 Bills hitting them at once. And that I kept like, you don't ever want to injure a player, but you want them to feel you, right? And you want them at
Right.
the end of the game to be feeling worn down and beat up and stuff. So I think they did a good job there. I won't lie, I kept thinking the Bills were going to get back into it until they cut it to one possession and they had the third down and they did that really weird blitz where I think it was Bishop that they had blitz from like 15 yards downfield,
Yeah.
and it just had no chance of hitting home, and they gave up the long touchdown to Zay Flowers on that one. And that was where I was like, this feels a lot like last season when the Bills were getting back in the game. Then they try a trick play, leads to a turnover. So I will admit, when it got back to 15 in the fourth quarter, I kept watching. I kept being like, they have a chance still,
Yeah.
but I accepted that it was going to be a loss.
Yeah. I love the fact that the time seemed like it was standing still. I'm like, wait, we still got time? And then after the 2-point conversion was taken back from us, we had 19. And I'm like, wait, I thought we scored two because I'm on my way back. I had to do the post game show. And I'm like, we scored a two, but then we got 19. We still down double possessions. And man, but the time was like frozen, and I loved it. The next thing you know, what did we talk about, Mike? The turnover battle, and it happened for us, and that just sparked everything else. You know, it was one of those things where you don't really accept the defeat because you know Josh is still healthy and he still got time to go back out there. You know, he's not out the game, so you still want to check it out and be tuned in. And I mean, he proved why he was the MVP. But again, Mike, the turnover battle. Talk to me about it. We called it or what?
You hit the nail on the head with that, and you said whoever wins the turnover battle will win the game. And for much of the game, it seemed like these are just too good of offenses, right? And there's not going to be turnovers, and it's just going to be whoever scores the most points. But then that one turnover happened, and that's what flipped the entire game on its head, because not only do the Bills get that ball, come score a touchdown, get the extra point, cut it to a one possession game, there was new life in the Bills players, in the crowd, and I think more than anything in the defense. I think the defense had confidence of, we just have to get one stop now, and 17 is going to do what he does and win us this game. So
Right.
look, Derrick Henry, I have nightmares of him as a Bills fan. It feels like for 12 years now, he's just been running all over the Bills at will. Crazy stat. He, in his 11, I think he's played in 11 years in the NFL. He still has more rushing yards in high school than he does in the NFL. One of the craziest stats you'll ever see.
Hey, that makes sense, though. Trying to tackle him in high school, seriously?
He was averaging like 3,000
Hey,
yards.
they already playing 30 yards off. Yeah, 20,000 yards a season. Wait, is that
It's
real?
insane. Yeah, like if you have time after the show today, go look up Derrick Henry's high school. Like he averaged like 30 touchdowns a year. Like it's insane.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, legendary. No wonder why they call him King Henry, man. Respect for sure.
And they were crowning him last, and it like I was sitting there texting friends like he just doesn't age. Like he looks better now than he did a couple years ago.
That's amazing. And I love to see it. I love to see it.
That one turnover, like you called it, flipped everything.
Yep. And it was so close. Like we was close to getting turnovers, and then the Ravens was close to getting a turnover. I'm like, oh, please don't let that happen. If they get a turnover, it's a wrap for sure. But we ended up pulling it out, and it was our guy Ed Oliver, man. Like he was. I heard Deion Dawkins call him the Tasmanian Devil, and I'm like, that's exactly who he is. That's exactly how he playing. He was bouncing off a different offensive lineman, hitting the spin move, getting the swim underneath. Man, I'm like, wow. 6 straight tackles by himself, or not 6 straight, but 6 tackles by himself. Tackle for loss, which was huge, all the way in the backfield, getting stiff armed by an MVP, and then still making a play. Man, that's determination, man. I'm looking forward to watching Ed Oliver all season spark this defense. What about you, Mike?
Josh Allen is going to be the player that everyone talks the most about today as a quarterback. That naturally happens. But Ed Oliver, outside of Josh Allen, is the reason for last night's victory. Not only did, like you said, that play where they sacked Lamar, that was the first time all game I felt like, oh, wow, they actually can get to Lamar. And the way he did it with the O-lineman basically on his back and then forcing the fumble there. If Ed Oliver, and I feel like this has been the case for the last few years, like he's a great player, but there's that untapped level that he is yet to reach. I think most Bills fans would agree. If he gets to that next level, all bets are off. This defense could be one of the best in football.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same thing with Keon. They're hitting their comfort level at the same time, although Ed has been in the league a little bit longer. But that's cool. Different side of the ball, different situations. But the way they're coming together on this team and being playmakers and game changers, I mean, the league is in trouble now because Ed, he only got what, 1, 2, he got 4 or 5 more dogs with him, so it's gonna be amazing to see. And speaking of those dogs, early it was ugly. Joey Bosa, he was focused on a run a little too much, not understanding that you're playing against Lamar Jackson. You contain the edge. And it was good to see him ascend through the game, from making mistakes and then being on it. It was amazing. I loved everything about that.
I think that's where his veteran presence is going to really help. Like you said, there was the first 2 big Lamar runs were because he just oversold on the handoff, and then he adjusted, and even the Chris Collinsworth was talking about it during the game. Like that's the veteran leadership there, being like, you might get me once or twice, but you're not going to continue to get me over and over. I'm going to adjust just like you are going to adjust. I got to ask Stevie. I might have been doing it at home when Ed Oliver was doing his thing. Did you hit the lasso at all?
I was doing it before he was doing it. You know what I mean? We was out here in Orlando. I had the whole Bills backers doing a whole lasso, man. They know about Ed out here in Orlando. It was showtime.
Fantastic celebration.
It was right on time too. Hey, what about the video clip of Ed riding that horse? That's legendary also.
If you see someone riding a horse around Buffalo, you don't even got to ask twice who it is. I mean,
Right.
how many people are riding
Man.
horse? You would know better than me, but that doesn't seem like a common thing.
Hey, the parade, him coming down Chippewa with the horse, is gonna be legendary. That's gonna be
You're getting
legendary.
you're getting Bills fans all excited right now on a
Right.
Monday.
And it's on a week one.
You brought him up, so I want to ask you because I trust your opinion more than anyone when it comes to wide receivers. I think, just my untrained eye, that last night we saw a different player in Keon Coleman. He was not the guy that we saw last year. He looks like a breakout to me, but to you and your trained eye, do you think we see Keon break out this year?
Yeah, I definitely see him breaking out in the sense of his ultimate comfort in the league as a wide receiver. He's not pressing the issue. That's what I want to say. I feel like his true breakout season is going to be next year. This will be one of those seasons that'll show, yeah, I'm able to get 1,000 yards, or I am 1,000-yard receiver. But then that next season, after he's proven to himself that he's got 1,000 yards, and you get that different type of accolade and those honors, then he's going to take it to a whole nother level. Why? Because you got Josh Allen on your side throwing the ball to you. And when he's got confidence in you, I mean, more times than not, you're going to be a star in his league. So all he has to do is to continue staying mentally charged and refreshed throughout the game, which was something that I saw with my receiver eye. A kid who wasn't pressing the issue to, I made a catch, I'm about to do everything, I'm about to do it. He wasn't focused on none of the extras. He just, I'm going to make the play. First down, let's get back to the huddle because we got more to do, and that's going to get him through the game, through more games in this season than not. I want to hear your thoughts on Keon, and then I want to kind of talk about another receiver on another team, but let me hear your thoughts on Keon.
To me, the biggest thing with Keon yesterday, one, he's using his size fantastically, I think, but game on the line. Look, I know it ultimately came down to a kick, but fast forward, we didn't know the Bills were going to get the stop and stuff. So when they went for the 2-point conversion down 2, you're thinking the game's on the line here. And it was a designed contested catch play for Keon. I don't love the fact that it was a contested catch, and I would have liked to let Josh maybe scan the field a little bit more. But to me, it shows you how much trust that Josh and this offense have in Keon, that they're like, we think against the number 1 picked corner, we think you're going to go up there and do your thing. So I think he's going to get a lot of volume this year. And I know I have people like on Twitter and stuff being like, oh, his touchdown was fluky. The concentration to stay with that
That's
play,
even,
and to me, that was a huge win, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know what you're talking about, that 2-point conversion. It was a big moment in the game. And the play that they designed, yeah, it was a fade route, but that was kind of one of them plays where I was looking like, oh man, I wish I could just get in the lab with him, because you can really get that guy over there, and then that ball will go be easy for you, or up in the air, or back shoulder, whatever. But it was just like and then I'm getting ready to turn around for the back shoulder, which the back shoulder was still there, knowing there's going to be contact. That's how amazing Josh is. But at the same time, that's what I mean about next year. Keon's going to take off to a whole nother level, because he's going to add that element of shiftiness in the slot. I mean, not in the slot, but in the red zone, because he knows that Josh is looking for him. He's expecting him to be that guy, and that's where we're going to see Keon take off. When I was talking earlier, Mike, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, Brandon Bean, we know you're listening. How many times does he have to say, if you get me in the lab there, let's get that contract his way?
Man, yes. I mean, because it's right there, man. He's got everything, but he'll learn it as the season goes. He's got players in there right now that has that wiggle, and I believe Josh Palmer having a great game. The great game that he had is going to get him a little more vocal, to talk more and maybe show Keon some things that he learned from another 13 that I know, which is Keenan Allen, who Josh Palmer played with. So I think he's going to evolve naturally throughout the season. But before we go on to the next subject, off of receivers, I want to get on a Dallas receiver, and CeeDee Lamb. Now, CeeDee Lamb, talent, very everything that you need in a receiver, he's got it. I just feel like CD is mentally thinking about competing with everybody else. When he's on the field, he makes the play, and he's like, I'm a prove it to you that you don't have to prove nothing, CD. You don't have to prove nothing. Just go out there and make the play and understand that your team is going to be in tight games more times than not. So stay a little more calm early in the game so that later in the game you're more fresh. And that's what I see from a receiver eye when I'm watching these guys playing on each week. And the difference between Keon and CD, Keon wasn't pressing anything. CD was subtly but still mentally pressing to be I'm him, and that kind of affected him at the end of the game. I feel.
If you're Dallas, you have George Pickens now. Like you can use him more throughout the game to keep CD a little bit fresher. And Stevie, while you brought up Josh Palmer, one good call on you. Lots of volume going his way. Huge and fantastic throw to set up that catch. Right? Like
Man.
I don't think most people realize how difficult that it looks easy when you're just watching Josh do it, but it is so difficult. But I thought having two players in particular, I listened to speak after the game, and it really stood out to me. And it was Palmer and Joey Bosa, who coincidentally both come from the Chargers, but they were both talking about their first Josh Allen experience and how, like, in the past, these are games that they just would accept, okay, it's not our day. But, like, they said Josh was calm, and he was like, just get me the ball. And then they got to witness why. And they both, like, Joey Bosa said he's never been happier after a win. And to me, gives me a lot of confidence of being like, these guys know they're never out of a game. And we saw it in week one.
Yeah, that says a lot because quiet is kept. When you have that spark, people react differently. They show up to the facility differently. Every week, they're showing up ready to go. They might have had a nagging injury. That they're not thinking about them injuries no more. That tight hamstring, nah, they ready to get out there and have some more fun and party now. After seeing that in week one, I mean, they can only be thinking the bigger picture, So they still got to take it 1 week at a time and keep developing players. But I think they see what can be at the end of this rainbow out there in Orchard Park.
And look, before we move on to the not so good from this week, we have to give a shout out to Matt Prater, right? Like he said he didn't know any of the teammates come Thursday, and now everyone in Buffalo knows his name.
Yeah, that's such a blessing, and that's the norm still. When you say that, like he didn't know his teammates, it's like, dang, that's kind of shocking that you don't know your teammates. But when you get picked up off of free agency, not even off of free agency, the special teams are on a whole nother field, so they're not really with the team as much. You got to be one of those players or have that locker room where, hey, we're welcoming the kickers and stuff, and that's kind of the vibe that I always had. I was always partnered with the kickers. So a big shout out to my guy Nick Novak out in San Diego. He's now coaching at the school that my daughter's doing cheer at. So it's pretty cool
awesome.
to connect. But it's like the chemistry that the Bills Mafia has given us in that locker room. It helped me become that type of person where I can talk to anybody in the locker room, and that vibe isn't everywhere. I've been to 3 teams, and I mean, my home team was San Francisco, and that locker room wasn't divided, but it wasn't like the Bills Mafia. It wasn't like the Bills locker room. And with San Diego, I mean, that locker room was so small. You got to be a selfish person if you don't want to talk to anybody. But yeah, I was next to the kickers. But for Matt to come in, 40 plus years old, right off the couch, and then nail that game winner week one. I mean, he got to be on cloud 9 right now. I mean, shout out to the OG. Shout out to the 40 plus players.
I'm just saying, Brandon Bean, you signed a 40-year-old. Stevie's not 40.
Yeah, we can work practice squad and get up. Yeah.
Also, while we're talking kickers, you seem to me like one of those guys that, like, if in a pinch, you could be like, yeah, I could kick a field goal.
I mean, if I worked on it, I know I can. But I mean, I've tried it, and be careful, O-lineman. The blockers, they gonna be getting hit most of the time. I ain't got that Ray Davis mode in me. That's the elevated mode of Kentucky athletes.
Do you think the MVP race is going to come down to these two quarterbacks again?
Yeah. Yep. I believe you can add Jalen Hurts in it also. You can't ignore what he's doing out there still. If he continue to bring his team to a great season and he's having games like he did with week one, it's gonna come down to one of those three. Lamar and Josh and Jalen. And right now, obviously, Josh is in the lead, even though Jalen got that win also week one. But
I
just
would throw
how
Jaden
Josh does it.
Daniels name out there too, but it does seem like Lamar Josh might be we might be heading to another battle like we were last season. But
Yeah,
Stevie, I
that
do
might
want to
have
ask.
sparked Lamar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's bad blood on both sides. Like Josh was more fired up, and the Ravens were very vocal that this was like a big game for them. They met in the playoffs, the MVP stuff. They've been pitted against each other so publicly. I think I think they're gonna say the right things. That it's just a week one game, but I think their actions spoke a lot louder.
Right. Right. For sure, brother. For sure. I'm with you on that.
I do want to ask you. We were talking a lot about the good here, right? But the defense, they gave up 40 points. For over 3 quarters, the Ravens were able to do whatever they wanted to against this unit. And something as a fan and stuff who watches this team every single week, I've always felt like the Bills' defense is good until they play a great offense, and then they just cannot find a way to stop that. They need Josh to go Superman, and hopefully they get a turnover, and that's kind of the recipe. But do you have any concern about this defense, or do you think it'll get better as the year goes on?
Again, no, brother. I don't have no concerns because we must take into the account we're going up against a two-time MVP,
Yes.
maybe one of the best backs of our time right now, and you got to expect to have a shootout. You can't stop those guys. So if this happened next week, we playing against the New York Jets and it's Justin Fields and he's only got Garrett Wilson out there, it's like, okay, now I'm worried if we're letting Brees Hall and I think there's Charles Johnson. I'm not sure what the second running back is, but if we had them running for 150
Oh,
plus,
Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen, my bad, yeah, the young boy, a stud, he'll be good also. But if we had them running over 50, I would be concerned. But when it's coming from a two-time MVP and a legend, future Hall of Famer, hey, you just got to match wit with wit and compete and not really worry about the stats and just enjoy the entertainment.
Yeah, and speaking of entertainment, a couple of guys gave us a whole lot yesterday. So Stevie, I think it's time for our favorite segment of the week.
Yes, the Why So Serious segment of the week. And
Why so serious?
Why So Serious segment of the week is going to be a big shout out to the Ravens defense for trying to cover Keon Coleman, second-year receiver, 9 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, big game for the young bull. He's looking smooth every week. He's getting better. And yeah, why so serious to the Ravens defense trying to guard that boy man to man in the slot? Oh, it's a wrap for the offense. It's a wrap for the defenses everywhere. That's my why so serious take.
The crazy part to me on Keon is I felt like there was still some meat on the bone there, right? Like he had the 2-point conversion where he got pushed out of bounds, the one that went through his hands. And if he doesn't get tripped up, I'm standing there screaming at the TV, go down, go down. But if he didn't get tripped up, it looked like he was running straight into that end zone. Could have been 2 touchdowns.
Yes, I mean, can you guys see the future? Can you see the future with Keon Coleman? He's going to be a monster on the inside and outside. And we speaking a lot on Keon. We spoke about Josh, but that doesn't mean that we don't have love for Khalil Shakir because what is Shakir doing? He's only absorbing their number one DB. So we'll take that all day, and then we can feed Keon, we can feed Josh, we can feed Dalton, and Knox got involved. It was amazing to see everybody getting involved and everybody eating. And yeah, again, with Shakir, some weeks it'll be his, some weeks it won't be. But the great thing is the mindset of this Bills locker room. Nobody's worried about getting this and that. They're just ready to play ball for Josh Allen, and that's amazing for us to see as Bills Mafia. What's your feelings?
He just knows where to be, right? At that flip play, like that to me was a huge play because you're about to go into halftime, demoralized a little bit, down 2 scores. You work your magic, you get that kind of play. All of a sudden now you're down 1 score. Like the energy was high, and he was kind of a big reason that sparked that. Stevie, though, the Bills wasn't the only thing that happened this week, though. Me and you
Talk to
locked
me.
horns in fantasy football. Stevie won, the Guru 0. I got destroyed in this matchup.
Look, hey, it's all up. I'm not here to rub it in your face at all. You know, it was
Please
week
do.
1. We saw what happened with Detroit. I thought Detroit was going to be more dominant than what they did, but you know, they was on the road. You was on the road. You know, I give you that. And my guys just came to play. Which one of my guys who started it off? Another 13, and Keenan Allen had to go swoop my boy up. I knew he was going to have a dominant season. And he just started off just right for me. And, I pulled that win out.
Yeah, you 13s stick together, but I mean, he balled out. Your whole team, you put up a big number this. I made the terrible decision. I was like, I have Justin Fields on like 10 teams. Let me sit him in one for Dak Prescott. And oh, did I regret that? But looking at the matchup now, like Keenan was amazing for you, but
Yeah.
Lamar was great. James Cook was great. Kelsey had a good day. Amon-Ra, like you said, the Lions will get better. And you still have your kicker and Aaron Jones tonight. So
right,
you're putting
I'm
up
looking
a big
forward.
crooked number.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Aaron Jones. That's my guy AJ, and I did some media broadcast work with him out in your area, and I'm looking forward to seeing him catch the ball and run the ball. So then the kicker, Chicago. Hey, I'm going against you, right? Don't you have? Or are you all locked up? I thought you had DJ Moore.
I have DJ Moore still, but I would
I
need him to outscore those two players by 18. I don't think that's going to happen.
You just never know, though. You never know. Caleb Williams might turn into Heisman Caleb and go crazy with DJ. Now that Keenan's gone now, so you just never know.
You had good production on your bench too. Kyler giving you over 18, and Jacoby Myers giving you 18. That's
You know what? That was the one that I wanted to play most. I was so on the edge about Jacoby, but then because when I saw like the injury, I'm like, okay, they got other guys that's coming up also, a nice young fresh roster. My guy Walker from Seattle, and he disappointed me, man. He disappointed me. So I'm looking to make some moves. I got Kyler Murray down there ready for some transactions and any waiver as the season go, but I got confidence in you, Mike. I got confidence in you. You the guru, man. Come on, this is what you do.
I think I'll bounce back, but look, if I'm going to lose to anyone, I'm happy it's losing to our podcast co-host and not to anyone, because look, the rest of the league, we're coming for you guys. I'm just letting you know right now. I think that's a good place for us to say goodbye. We will be back later this week previewing the Jets game, still probably coming off the high that is this Bills victory over the Ravens. For Stevie Johnson, I'm Michael F. Florio. This is the Sick Podcast, Bills Banter. Let's banter. Join us again later in the week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Bills Banter on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.